Today, on Fortune's Discovery Channel, we'll be talking about the Panthera Onca Centralis, or the Central American panther. Now, let's get into its taxonomic classification, which is as follows. Domain, Eukarya. Kingdom, Animalia. Phylum, Chordata. Class, Mammalia. Order, Carnivora. Family, Felidae. Genus, Panthera. And species, Panthera onca centralis. This beast's habitat primarily includes tropical rainforests and lowland areas spanning from southern Mexico to northern Argentina. The Central American jaguar is a carnivorous predator with a diverse diet. Its main prey consists of medium-sized animals like deer and monkeys, and it also feeds on smaller animals such as rodents, birds, reptiles, and fish when larger prey is scarce. It is known for having a strong build, powerful jaws, and excellent swimming abilities. It possesses a spotted coat with a unique rosette pattern providing camouflage into the dense vegetation. Jaguars are also solitary and elusive animals, preferring to hunt and roam their territory alone. They are also excellent climbers, enabling them to ambush prey from trees. Our oldest ancestor of the Panthera onca centralis is the calacatheer, which became extinct 20 million years ago. Calacatheers lived during the Miocene epoch, and their fossils have been found in Africa, Asia, Europe, and North America. They had a unique horse-like body with long forelimbs and curved claws instead of hooves. They also had a short, flexible neck and a long, protruding snout. The evolutionary concept that can be seen through calacatheers is gene flow. Gene flow is the transfer of genetic material between populations, which can have significant impacts on the evolution of species. In this case, of calacatheers, an extinct group of large mammals, gene flow likely played a role in shaping their genetic diversity and evolutionary history. As they moved and interacted with other populations, gene flow occurred through the exchange of genetic material. This process allowed for the mixing of genetic variants, increasing genetic diversity within calacatheers populations. Gene flow also facilitated the spread of advantageous traits such as adaptations to different environments or improved reproductive strategies, which could enhance the overall fitness of the species. Another important ancestor of Panthera onca centralis is the antelodont, also known as hell pigs. Antelodonts were large mammals that lived during the Eocene epoch 16 million years ago. They had a fearsome appearance with a large, robust skull, powerful jaws, and sharp, slicing teeth. Their bodies were covered in thick, bristly hair, and they had short, stocky legs with hooves. Antelodonts were apex predators that likely hunted and scavenged a variety of prey, including other mammals and reptiles. Like jaguars, they also had powerful jaw muscles that allowed them to bite through bones. Sympatric and allopatric speciation are two important processes that likely had distinct effects on the evolution and diversification of antelodonts. Allopatric speciation occurred when geographically separated populations of antelodonts underwent genetic divergence due to limited gene flow. Geological events, such as the formation of barriers or the uplift of mountain ranges, played a role in isolating populations and driving the formation of new species. On the other hand, sympatric speciation may have occurred within the same geographic area, potentially driven by ecological specialization or reproductive isolation. Different antelodont populations adapting to various ecological niches or dietary preferences could have led to the emergence of distinct species without geographical barriers. My favorite ancestor that became extinct between 4 and 5 million years ago was the bear dog, also known as Amphicyon. Amphicyon were not true bears or dogs, but rather a distinct group of carnivores that evolved separately from these lineages. Amphicyon had a bear-like appearance with a bulky body, short legs, powerful jaws, and its skull was adapted for biting and crushing bones. Amphicyon was an apex predator that likely hunted a variety of large prey, including prehistoric horses and other mammals. Genetic drift is a mechanism of evolution that involves random changes in the frequency of genetic variants or alleles within a population over generations, including in this case from Amphicyon to jaguar. It occurs when certain alleles become more or less common due to chance events rather than selective pressures. In the case of the evolutionary divergence between Amphibian and jaguars, genetic drift could have played a role in shortening Amphibion's teeth, because over time it was more harmful than helpful to have such long teeth. The effects of genetic drift on Amphibian could include the loss of certain genetic variations through a process known as genetic bottlenecking, where a small subset of the population contributes disproportionately to the next generation. This can reduce the overall genetic diversity of the species. The next ancestor is Machaerodus affinistus, which became extinct 400,000 years ago and was also known as the saber-toothed cat. It lived in what we now know as Africa and Eurasia. It was a large cat estimated to have weighed around 400 to 500 pounds with a long, muscular body and powerful forelimbs. Its most distinctive feature was its long, curved canine teeth, which could reach up to 8 inches in length. We can start to see many similarities to the present-day jaguar in this animal. The presence of homologous limb structures, specifically the similar bone structures, joints, and overall organization of the limbs, suggest a shared ancestry and evolutionary history between Machaerodus affinistus and panthers. The fact that both Machaerodus affinistus and panthers have 4 limbs with similar skeletal arrangements points to a common ancestor that possessed this limb structure. Over time, as these lineages diverged and evolved independently, variations occurred in other traits and characteristics, but the basic blueprint of the limb structure remained the same. The presence of analogous dental structures, such as the elongated canines in Machaerodus affinistus and the large canines in panthers, suggests a convergent evolution in response to similar selective pressures related to predation and hunting strategies. In both Machaerodus affinistus and panthers, the elongated canines serve a similar functional purpose of catching and subduing prey. The independent evolution of elongated canines in these species indicates that they respond to similar ecological pressures such as hunting large prey or dealing with specific prey capture techniques. The closest, most important ancestor to the Panthera Onca centralis is the Panthera Onca gombasoensis, and it became extinct 350,000 years ago. The Panthera Onca gombasoensis lived from the end of the late Pliocene to the early Pleistocene in Eurasia, and is the earliest known Panthera species in Europe. The uniqueness of this cat is that it can be considered as a link between large pantherine cats of the Old and New World. A form similar to Panthera gombasoensis has been found dating from the early Pleistocene of East Africa and had both lion and tiger-like characteristics. The European jaguar was probably a solitary animal. It has often been thought to be a forest-dwelling cat with similar habits to the modern jaguar. The evolutionary concept that is clearly outlined is taxonomy, given that both Panthera gombasoensis and Panthera onca centralis have the same genus, which is Panthera, suggests a closer evolutionary relationship compared to species belonging to different genres. Taxonomy takes into account the morphological similarities between organisms when determining their relatedness. Both Panthera onca centralis and Panthera gombasoensis exhibit morphological characteristics that are typical of the Panthera genus and resemble other jaguar subspecies. This includes features such as a robust skull, strong jaws, well-developed canines, and a muscular body structure. Throughout my research, it was really cool to see how these prehistoric animals, even some like the Calicothere and Lodon, that don't look anything like a Panthera onca centralis, still had an impact on some of their traits. Also, the reasons behind why some of these animals had to keep adapting, like the amphibion's teeth being too big to actually help them, so over time they get smaller and turn out to still be one of the most impressive things about current jaguars, which is the power of their jaws and strength of their teeth. In the last two ancestors, you could see many of the similarities between their bone structures, for example, and that of a current Central American jaguar. Overall, it was really cool to see how this awesome jaguar came to be, along with the backstories for why these adaptations happened. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Forte's Discovery Channel, and we hope to see you around here again soon.